Hit the intro. Hey, well, wait, who said that? I'm in charge of setting it up at the top. Just hold on a second there. Welcome everyone to the latest edition of the Friday Nooner. I'm Pete McIntyre, the managing editor of GrepBeat. With me, as always, the Godfather himself, Joe Colopy. Joe, now you can speak. How are you?
I'm fine. I am trying a new audio visual setup here, so we'll see. I can't make any promises.
What's the audio? What happened to that fancy microphone you got last week?
I do have the fancy microphone.
Oh, whoa, okay. It's like a missile.
The problem is
over there. What's going on?
Where my camera is and where I look on the screen are slightly different. And the software we use called StreamYard, it doesn't flip the image. So when I go like this, I think it should be my other hand. And so it's all very...
Which hand? Isn't that your right hand?
Well, this is my right hand.
Okay. Did you think it was your left?
It's just reverse. Zoom will reverse the image for you and make it a little easier.
Okay. I got to say, I did not notice that as an issue with me. Well, you know what? Actually, I look at it. Yeah, it does. All right, fair enough. I take that back. You're right. So what's this week? We're going to talk about, well, there was some big news yesterday. Actually, a little peek behind the scenes. So on Wednesday, Greg Bear, BHR, he's a PR guy in the area. They have a firm, and among his clients is American Underground and Google, actually, Google for Startups. He's always sending me stuff about Google. And usually I'm like, it's not really that local story, but send me, that's great. So on Wednesday afternoon, he emails me one and he's like, hey, do you have a number for me to call you? And I didn't see that till after he'd already called, which of course I didn't pick up because I don't really pick up the phone. And then I listened to the message, and the message is like, there's going to be big news tomorrow morning at 5:30, but I can't tell you what it is. So I'm like, okay.
This is fun.
And then he's like, yeah, it's like, well, I'm not sure if you'll be up that early at 5:30. It's like, I will be up at 5:30. Thank you very much. And he's like, but I can't tell you anymore. I was like, okay, this is already more than I needed to know. You could just send it to me in the morning. He's like, it's going to be big news. I was like, it's good. It's a Thursday. It's for the newsletter. Oh, this will be for newsletter writer. And that was the news. The news was that Google's Cloud, I guess, is going to open a engineering hub based in Durham. This will be their fifth. The other ones are Silicon Valley, New York, and there's two in Seattle. And going to be ultimately over 1,000 jobs, high-paying jobs, presumably mostly engineers. So that was big news, right?
It is big news, and also a win, as you claimed, over Austin, which
yes,
our friend Melissa definitely echoes that. That feels good. It's not just about lifting up; it's about pushing someone else down, right?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you can't really be on top unless you're stepping on someone getting you to the stars.
There we go.
That actually, this is traditionally my favorite week of the year, and this just made it better. Now, the reason, what are some of the reasons you think that I find this my favorite week?
Well, Pete, I would imagine that we're only a couple of days away from St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
very proud of your Irish heritage.
Speaking of that, I homemade Irish soda bread, and I have a piece while you tell me some of the other reasons.
Oh, well, we will take a quick segue from this chatter.
March Madness. That's the other.
And we'll just mention this and go into it. I am not a huge fan of soda bread. And now I realize why is because it's raisins, and raisins are the worst. and I just can't stand them. I can't stand they exist. I think from a genetic point of view, someone should decode them and make them go away.
But then you eat grapes.
I don't eat a lot of grapes, and I only eat green
Do
ones.
you eat grapes?
But they're different. The raisins are the devil's
Okay.
seed, and grapes, they can be sometimes wonderful and refreshing. So, you do what you can. So yes, but it's wonderful. It's nice that you make soda bread. I think next time you should go down the new Irish route and make them with chocolate chips. Society.
No, that's not going to happen. But okay, so Google. So I guess there's pros, obviously.
So lots of
potentially
interesting
some
comments
cons
here. Jim, of course. Apparently, Charleston, South Carolina. Well, the reality is Google is 130-some thousand people, and they're going to grow a lot. So they're looking to get talent. They realize they now have to get talent closer to where people are. And the whole model of bringing everyone to the Bay Area or wherever, New York is less realistic. So they're branching out or building up their hiring in lots of different places, including South Carolina. Although I hadn't seen that as much on the list. I think what's notable is that we're talking about the Google Cloud, and it's more engineering focused where we are, which makes a lot of sense given taking advantage of the engineering talent.
And they
as Dan notices, it's going to be fierce competition. It's not new competition. I mean, everyone thinks of the word Google, but Fidelity and Credit Suisse, they opened very large back offices in RTP that were, when they came out, huge. I'm going to say this in a positive way, but talent sucks. It's been a little while, but Cisco did the same thing. So I think it's great.
I see. They suck talent away. Not you weren't disparaging.
It's a good thing, right? It creates a more vibrant ecosystem, but definitely makes, for a little while, especially when they ramp, a little bit more challenging. It just makes software engineering, especially if you're really good, even a great place to be. Overall, helps us.
Craig Stone, in that one of the stories in TechWire this morning, they're doing some follow-ups, and Craig Stone, who is CEO of Higher Networks and a perennial tire kicker of Grepbeat sponsorships, but doesn't really pull the trigger that often. But he was quoted saying that. Like you said, when Fidelity and Credit Suisse and Google will be kind of the shiny new thing, and will definitely. He called it, quote, a potential massacre for SMBs and startups, which might be maybe that means you should use Higher Networks as services.
I don't think a massacre.
Still a challenge, a crunch.
Massacre at all. I think. Google's been around. They're a big company. And so
not at this scale in this market though.
No, but as working for a company that's 130,000 people, that's going to feel more like IBM and all the good and bad of that, then it's going to feel like a small hip startup. So they've done a good job of putting an aura around there. But, a fair amount of the work, I think the challenge is you're in a very large organization, and same would be with Amazon. Same would be even if they're big names, and that is a different gig. And some people like that, and many people don't like that. So it's a great name. I think it helps validate the area. It's a great source, particularly for right out of school. I think in some ways NC State will be the best biggest beneficiary of that from the student perspective, because they have such a deep engineering and computer science pool compared to UNC and Duke. Just the size of their program is just much bigger. And so I think overall it's good. It'll be interesting to see even within Google, within Durham or within the Triangle, where exactly are we talking about another RTP campus type feel, or are we talking something a little bit more downtown? If they did something more downtown, that would be more notable, more noticeable.
Right.
Certainly for us.
They said they're looking at various, so they're going to start out. Duke is leasing them some space in that Duke ID Center, which was right next to the former Colby Ventures world headquarters.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why they chose it.
Yeah, forever to be. Do you think they were just confused They didn't recognize the move. Like maybe they could have come right by
I
us
think
here.
so. I think they did their Google Maps and they look at like how do we get as
Right.
close as possible to Grep Beat, and then they did the best they could.
Someone
And now
dropped the ball. Sounds
now they're kicking themselves.
Yeah.
But whatever. Google's got billions of dollars, and they'll bounce back and they'll find a good space.
Well, that was only temporary, so maybe they'll build something here. Maybe you could flip something to them.
So 2 weeks ago, the word was circling around. There was a tech company looking for 15,000 square foot of space to lease or sublease. So it could be that.
How'd you hear that?
Because I'm
Did you hear the ground?
That is overheard.
Okay.
That is not a
real
official.
estate.
Yeah.
Kingpin.
Yeah. So I don't know who it was.
Get together and talk about it.
I don't know who it was, but it could have been them, right? So they're going to ramp up to 1,000. They're not just going to do that overnight.
Right. Yes, then that is something.
So
15,000. I don't have a great sense for. I mean, that's big, but that's not 1,000 people.
Well, I think you always put the big number, and then hopefully you get there, right? So I think Jan said the press does help attract new talent from around the area.
Right.
Again, it's a competitive market, but I think Google rightly recognized is a good source for engineering talent, and engineering talent often means connection to tech savvy universities. And so I think that the universities, UNC, Duke, NC State, and of course Central, being all in a relatively tight area, continues to pay dividends for this area.
Okay, that's true. Did you want to talk some March Madness? But do you want to talk March Madness? Jim Roberts had on Twitter earlier, in his usual subtweeting of GrepBeat, was asking whether we would talk about March Madness. And I said probably not much because Joe's not a big fan. Though when Jay comes on, we do have a guest later, Jay Bigelow of CED. I see him there in the green room.
I mean, I just feel like this year with March Madness, I would think, and I could be wrong, that the enthusiasm for it is just a lot less.
It's not quite the same. First of all, it didn't start yesterday. It's usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So starting Friday is better than last year when there was zero tournament.
True.
So this is it's better than nothing. And they're all playing in Indianapolis. Well, not necessarily all in Indianapolis.
Yeah. So I normally set up a bracket with my family, but this year
I'm
not doing that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it's
going to draw teams. How do you run your bracket?
What's that?
How do you run your bracket? Are you guys all picking a bracket, or are you assigning teams? You pull teams out?
So my kids, go to school, and it's just kind of 100 yards from Dukie's campus, and they do that in school. Like
really?
Brackets. Oh yeah, it's fascinating.
Do they have any money on it?
No, we don't put money.
Oh, I'm in a knockout pool Survivor that I've done with your friends for 20
You're also
years.
a grown
That's $100 entry. There's a lot of money on that. If anyone's from the IRS out there, I was only making that up.
Okay. So, but we should talk about March Madness, our own new little spin on that.
Yes. So March Madness, I'm sure everyone knows, but just in case, we're doing a 32-team bracket of Where's Pete coffee shops in the past. And these are true coffee shops, which we had to stop doing when the pandemic started. And so we have the first round was Tuesday and Wednesday. And so we're now in the Sweet 16. First round, there were a couple of big upsets. There was one 8 seed in the Burbs and NC State region, the controversial named region. Jubala beat Bean Traders 33-32 at the buzzer. When at least I read that Bean Traders was trying at the buzzer to dunk a cruller in a coffee, but it was blocked at the buzzer. So that was a big shocker. And there were two number 7 seeds that beat number 2s. Monuts in the downtown Durham bracket beat the Durham Hotel. And you were taking some credit for that, weren't you?
Well, I sent the link around to my neighborhood listserv, which I thought would I actually prefer the Durham Hotel than Monuts. I find Monuts quite loud, which
For
is
a meeting, I'd say.
and a little bit kind of the food's too fancy. But I thought my
Monuts is too fancy for you?
the items. I can't just get eggs. They gotta make it some complicated thing.
Okay.
It
I
should.
mean,
It
that was
shouldn't be.
I didn't know that was the book on Monuts. That it was like, it seemed like a pretty straightforward kind of neighborhood
You would think.
place.
You would
Okay.
think quite complicated over there. Anyways,
Okay. And then the other number 7 was in downtown Raleigh. The number 7 seed Yellow Dog beat the heck out of 42 in Lawrence, which is where Louis Sheets of NC State likes to go. He's going to be an upcoming guest on no, I was going to call this Where's Pete. Everything should be called Where's Pete. Why don't we have Pete branded more? I was lobbying for March Peteness, but March Magnus is a lot better.
Sometimes you just have to say no and stop.
I mean, I didn't like change it to March Peteness when you weren't looking, which I could have done. I mean, just let's be frank. I didn't though. March Magnus is a good name.
So how does March Magnus, how's it play out from here?
Okay, so we're in now the Sweet 16, and I can give you a live look in. This round of voting goes up until 5 o'clock, and I can look right now and see the results. There so far have been 49 votes. I don't know. Should I give all the results? Will that discourage?
I think we should. I think people know where it is.
Can I remind you of the matchups?
How to find it? No, I think it's like, how is it gonna, like, when is the final?
Okay, so we'll be down to 8 teams after today, and then next Tuesday and Wednesday will be the Elite 8, right? And then we'll be down to 4. So then next Thursday and Friday will be the Final 4, and then the championship game will be the following Tuesday, and we may keep that open all the way to the end of the week. I'm thinking we can reveal the champion live on the Friday nooner.
That really,
that would be, that's going to be,
so
that would be historic. The first ever live reveal. Well, it's the first March Magnus and the first year we've done the Friday nooner, but it'll be exciting, I think. And one coffee shop will be able to cut down the nets, right? Are you aware of the net cutting down?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay.
So
we'll play One Shining Moment.
There we go. That'll be exciting. So before, so we're pretty close to bringing on our guests, but I want to cover, are there any other things that you've noticed are new and notable in the tech scene around the Triangle, or that's kind of different or worth chatting about?
Are you asking whether I had prepared any more material?
Well, we had talked a little bit.
Yeah, well, right. Well, are you trying to set me up for something, or are you just flailing?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not flailing.
Well, I wanted to talk about, I read on TechWire a very interesting story this morning about analysts at Goldman Sachs who are complaining about how hard they have to work. And as a former analyst at Goldman Sachs, back in the days of Lotus 123 as the rating spreadsheet, I wanted to get out the world's smallest violin, which is playing the world's oldest song.
Cry Me a River. I don't think anyone's worried about investment bankers being overworked for the whole.
I actually do feel all bad for them, but I felt bad until it said that first year analyst base salary was like $91,000.
Yeah,
mine was $32,000.
Well, you might know,
Pete, like it was a lot of money then either. I mean, it was not nothing, but there's not that much inflation. I'm not that old. From 32 to triple? 3x it?
I think that it's an industry that, like a lot of things that are very desirable for certain people go in, whether it's Hollywood or that space, or whether it's in gaming, all those industries, I see a common thread where the young people doing the bulk of the work are actually very little paid, with the hope of rising up the ranks, which very few do, and getting the big paychecks.
So in there, it's little paid is purely relative to the senior people. Whereas in like Hollywood or other places I've worked, it is actually, the lower people are very little paid.
Yeah.
Or journalism, for instance.
And journalism. Yeah. So anyways,
all right, so let's bring on our guest. It is time.
There we go.
Okay. Jay, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Jay, it's Jay Bigelow. He's the Vice President of Entrepreneurship at CED, which is what? Council of Entrepreneurial Development.
Council for Entrepreneurial Development. Yep.
I find that very hard to spell. The word entrepreneur, I'm always typing like the R's and the E's and U's in the wrong place. That's neither here nor there. So why don't you tell us first, what do you do?
CED is a much better thing.
Yeah, CED,
that one
right,
you can
yes.
spell. Yeah.
I just call it CED, right?
Yeah, that works. That works.
But as Vice President of Entrepreneurship, I know you guys have some programs. You have the funding. Okay.
Yeah, we're a nonprofit organization started almost 40 years ago by the business community to support entrepreneurship, primarily in the Triangle. We're still 100% supported by the business community. So we're a 501c3 educational organization. So very much our roots are in our Grow Incubator program and our venture mentoring service and Connect to Capital. Very much educational roots. Obviously, in 40 years, we've expanded the services and do a lot of other things.
The Grow program, that's pretty new though, right?
The Grow is a new version of something that we actually ran for many years called Fast Track and Fast Track Tech Venture. Many of the scale-ups that you see here today in the region went through those programs. And a fun fact is, Kauffman Foundation actually gave a grant to the CED staff to write the curriculum for Fast Track Tech Venture many years ago.
Did you go to Drexel, Jay?
I did.
Is Drexel in the tournament?
Both men and women.
Oh, look at that.
So
tell us who they're playing. Tell us who the Drexel Dragons are playing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think every year for the men's side, I'm not as up on the women's side. I probably should be. The men tend to be the 16th seed, and so they're usually they are playing Illinois. And in years past, whoever they played went at least to the Final Four, if not won it. I remember Louisville one year won it. So if you're betting, Illinois would be a good bet. But if you're picking with your heart, you have the Drexel Dragons going to the Final Four.
Joe, do you have any questions about March Madness?
I do. Yeah, I'm really not going to watch it at all this year. And I think the fact, I follow mainly Carolina, but you take Duke, fact Duke's not going to be in it because of COVID. That's a convenient excuse. I think we all know what's really.
They might not have been in it. Period.
That's true. That's true. But now they could put a whole big asterisk around the whole thing. It's like,
well, they're big on the asterisks. It's like, oh yeah, Coach K's back hurts, so let's just like wipe the whole season out. Like we don't even put it on his record.
Yeah,
it's a little shady. But something that is going on next week that Joe, I know you will pay attention to, right? Is Venture Connect.
Yes.
Right.
So,
yes.
So, why don't you tell us about that, Jay?
So entrepreneurial communities sort of need big tentpole events, and CED has traditionally put on a life science conference and a tech conference. A couple of years ago, we started putting them on together. We call the whole thing Venture Connect. We have about 600 people registered so far. We're expecting maybe 700 people all told. We have 100 companies there presenting that are either raising money or announcing products or announcing partnerships. We have 110 or so investors, although one I noticed yesterday is not on the list, is this fund called Jurassic Capital. I don't know if you guys know that.
But a little further down the pipeline, though, they're more about growth.
Yeah, this show is turned. It seems that we're having some problem with your connection.
Yeah. Well, we have plenty of growth equity companies. We have companies that are startups to scale ups that are there. So growth equity firms traditionally show up. We hope that the local ones will show up as well.
No, we'll certainly look at that. I know in terms of companies, Jim Roberts is calling some Wilmington companies that are going to be there. I don't know if it's some type of demo or lightning round that they're participating in. These
So
three.
the platform is open today. It's open this week, next week, and the week after. The real goal of these events, no one can put into the virtual world what we experience in the real world, but the real goal of it is to make connections. So the platform we chose, you can watch a 5-minute intro of the company, hit a button, and schedule a meeting. It's that simple. And so
Cool.
as of yesterday, there were 180 meeting requests already made. We're hoping that there's 300 or 400 meetings that take place over the couple of weeks. That's the reason for doing it, is making connections.
Well,
How many meetings were requested by Jurassic Capital?
Oh. So,
Well, they're just so busy with deal flow, they haven't.
No, that's true.
But the platform is open this week, next week, and the following week, so they have 2 weeks to get their act together.
So as a startup, and I realize in a virtual environment, it's a little different than in person. Maybe you could speak to both. What is the best way to kind of take advantage of the conference? I mean, you've been running it for many years. You've seen what works and what doesn't work. You've seen startups who've done a great job taking advantage of it, and you've seen some who just kind of haven't. Any just tips?
Yeah, I mean, if you're raising money, it's a sales process. And the first thing you need to do is do your homework and research the investors, figure out the investor's investment thesis and stage. So if you're a brand new startup and you're trying to raise $500,000, Jurassic is probably not the firm that you want to go after. So target well, understand, your stage and the industries that the investors invest in. They want to meet companies. They're interested in deal flow. So if you do a good job of targeting, focus on the right investors, the chances are you'll have at least a half-hour conversation and get the conversation started. And the second part of that equation is also activate your network to help you get those meetings. So your lawyer, your accountant, your CED, your advisors, GREPI partners, or whatever, have them help you get the right meetings with the right investors as a part of the process. It's going to be the beginning of a sales process, raising capital. You're probably not going to close a deal during the event, but the statistics out of California is it takes 40 presentations to raise a series seed. So you need to have 60 or 80 targets, whittle that down to the 40 you can get in front of, whittle that down to who can lead your deals. It's a process.
I think that's great advice. I think I think a lot of startups or founders, if they're early on, think it's just like a one and done, like it's a transaction. And it really is not. It is a series of interactions that might start kind of lightly and casually, and then it leads to a conversation, and then it leads to a coffee, and it leads to, and really that's what you want. I also think the event is really important because it exposes a lot of investors, sometimes for the first time, to the area.
Yep.
And then they're like, wow, I didn't realize, whether they do an investment right away or not, I didn't realize there was so much here. And then it just brings them in. And so it's a great way for people outside the area, often investors, to just get exposed, which is timely given why Google is doing their big ramp up here. I'm sure you all are excited about that. I'm sure it wasn't out of nowhere. This isn't the first time they've been exposed to the Raleigh-Durham area. It adds up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Google having a presence here is a plus for the region. Having jobs here is a plus for the region. And I sort of would reiterate something you said earlier on. It's great for students, engineers, people who need a job. It's not really helping move the entrepreneurial ecosystem as much as a startup here growing and scaling.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the entrepreneurs here who build big, successful companies like Bronto or Pendo or Precision Bio is a great company. That's what's going to make our region really successful. So I'm happy they're here. It's great they're here. I want to see us grow big companies here, and that's our focus.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great mission.
The fact that you're virtual this year, has that had any benefit in maybe attracting some investors from even further away, since they don't have to jump on a plane and take everything off their schedule? So what you said about 150 investors?
Well, that's what I'd like to see. I have
Okay.
about, I looked yesterday, about 110. So I've got a ways to go to get to 150. But
And
when
what is sort of the
Jurassic gets
spread?
on, everybody else is going to pile on.
There'll be a rush after that. But what's sort of the like, or is it mostly regional and then
no.
national? Where are they coming from?
It's all over. I mean, our local angel groups are certainly there, and some of our local angel investors, they're certainly there. Jason Kaplan is running a tech VC panel, and he has West Coast investors, Boston investors coming to that event. So, it is
He's
easier.
a big draw. Jason's a big draw himself.
Jason is a great partner in our community and a great partner for CED. That's sort of what we did this year. Was we had about 10 or 12 leaders in the community all run a piece of the content, and then they can build their network and they can bring people in, and that's our way of getting more national attention.
I was asked, and then I was like, okay, so what's the deal, and what do I need to run? Oh no, we got other people. Don't worry about it.
Well, Pete,
don't worry about it.
Came over here. I remember in the past, they asked me, did they ask me this year? No, I didn't see any calls. I didn't see any emails.
I mean, you're obviously Jurassic is on the outs.
We don't want to wear out our welcome, Joe. We'll come back to you. Don't worry. We'll come back.
Okay. So I think we're about time, Pete.
Yeah, we're over. Yeah. So Jay, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's always fun to listen to the two of you.
All right.
Take care.
Your mileage by Jay. But yeah, thanks everyone. Get the outro. Bye all.